I'm going to revise with you the Muslim world expands, specifically the Ottomans build a vast empire for the quiz, inshallah. So it's very important to know about the objectives from the beginning of the lesson and to evaluate yourself by the end of the lesson if you are able to respond to those objectives or no. So by the end of this section, you need to describe the origin of the Ottoman Empire. You need to explain how it started. You need to identify the founder of the empire. Number two, you need to explain the empire's rise and decline. So how it started, how it continued to improve or flourish, and then the reasons that led to the end. And then identify the achievements under Sulaiman, the lawgiver, as the greatest sultans in the Ottoman Empire's reign. As we mentioned, the Ottomans built a vast empire is the lesson that you are going to have a quiz on this Thursday, inshallah. Here is the map. It's very important to identify the cities or estates or the countries, as we call them nowadays, under the Ottoman Empire. See the orange part? This is the Ottoman Empire. It's very important to start with the beginning, how it was before the Ottoman Empire start. You need to know that before the Ottoman Empire, there was another empire called the Byzantine Empire, but it was very weak and it was declining during the 1700s. It had been destroyed by the Turkish Seljuk kingdom of the Rom. In a place called Anatolia, a group of people called nomadic Turks lived. Those people were very famous for being materialistic, and they were skilled in military areas or fields. They had a long history of invading other countries. But those people who lived in Anatolia were not under a specific leader, or they were not united by one person. Till we have somebody here to unite them. Now, many Anatolian Turks saw themselves as Ghazis. Who's a Ghazi or a Ghazi? He's a warrior of Islam. Those people formed military societies or groups under the leadership of an emir or a commander, and they followed a strict Islamic code of conduct. They raided the territories of the non-Muslims or the people who didn't believe in Islam, and those people were all around the outer part of the Byzantine Empire. We have here the founder, the most important person, or the one who started the empire, Osman. He was the most powerful and successful Ghazi, and his followers called themselves Ottomans according to his name. He and his people expanded the territory by buying lands, forming agreements, alliances, or conquering new territories. He was a very wise military leader, and he was the founder of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was successful because of the techniques or the weapons that were used first by Osman, like the gunpowder, and the soldiers carrying guns. He was the one to use cannons that could break down the heaviest walled cities. We have Orkhan, his son, who continued his father's path, and he was the first one to call himself Sultan. He continued to open and expand the empire. Why were the Ottomans so successful? That's very important, and you need to trace that from the beginning of the lesson till the end. They were very wise and acted kindly toward the people they conquered. They ruled through local officials appointed by the Sultan and often improved the lives of the peasants, and they helped the farmers. The non-Muslims were respected, and they wouldn't have to serve in the army, but they would have to pay taxes. Muslims served in the army during that period of time and didn't pay any taxes. We have here Taimur the Lame. Who's Taimur the Lame? It's very important to know that he was not one of the Ottomans, because a lot of students get confused about the idea whether Taimur the Lame was an Ottoman or no. No, Taimur the Lame was a rebellious warrior and conqueror from Central Asia. He wanted to stop the expansion that started by the Ottomans, and he was able to pause this expansion for a period of time, and he burned down Baghdad and defeated the Ottomans. But then he had to turn his attention to China, leaving the Ottomans to rebuild their empire and expand again. So this is the end of the first part, which is how the empire started and the origin and the founder. So as we said, the founder was Osman and his followers. How did they expand the empire? They bought lands, they made agreements, or they invaded or conquered other places. They were very successful because they treated the people well, and they used new techniques in invading those cities or places. Then here we need to know about the important sultans that caused the expansion of the Ottoman Empire to last. We have Murad II, he's Mehmed's son. And he was able to expand the Ottoman Empire further in Europe. He invaded Hungary and overcome the Italians in the Balkans, and he was considered the first powerful sultans. We have here Mehmed II, and he was known as Mehmed the Conqueror. He achieved the biggest victory in Ottoman history by invading Constantinople. Constantinople was very important for many reasons. It controlled the Bosphorus Strait, an important waterway between Asia and Europe. And Constantinople was the center of Christianity during that period of time. He opened it to many religions and many people from different backgrounds. It was very difficult to conquer or break down or take down Constantinople because it was very strong and walls surrounded it from all the sides. From one side was the sea and the other side was the land. But he was able to attack from both sides, and he was able to win and have Constantinople to be part of the Ottoman Empire. Mehmed II was considered a great leader because he was a magnificent warrior. He opened Constantinople to different cultures and religions. Turks and non-Turks all rebuilt the city together and renamed it to Istanbul. And this part would remind us of the idea of tolerance and how Ottomans were tolerant towards the people and the places they invaded. We have the Ottomans taking the holy cities like Mecca and Medina, and that was by Selim the Grim. And he was a great sultan and general. He defeated many enemies. He took control of Syria, Palestine, North Africa, took responsibility of Mecca and Medina, and he took control of Cairo and its university and libraries during that period of time. Suleiman, the lawgiver here, is one more time one of the most and the greatest sultans in the Ottoman Empire for his achievements. He was known by Suleiman the lawgiver. He had many achievements. He allowed the Ottoman Empire to reach its peak size. He ruled for 46 years. He was an excellent military leader, used naval power to conquer many countries. He controlled most trade routes, and in his time, he controlled 3 different areas like Central Asia, North Africa, and Central Europe. He connected the whole empire under one social structure. He created the law code that dealt with all things in the empire. He simplified and limited taxes and improved the government process. He was the one to introduce the devshirme system. And how was that system working? This was a system under which the Sultan's army drafted boys from the conquered Christian territories, and the army raised and trained those boys, and the elite ones, the best ones, were called janissaries. They were loyal to the Sultan, they were incredibly well trained, and they had a lot of privileges being janissaries. He allowed freedom of worship. So different religions were allowed to openly practice their faith. They were allowed to form their own communities and celebrate their holidays, different cultures, different celebrations. But he kept an eye on them to stop any conflict before it arose. He had many interests like poetry, geography, mathematics, and architecture. He employed the world's best architects to build buildings like the Mosque of Sulaiman. Art and literature flourished during his era, and he was also one of the reasons that led to the decline of the empire. The decline means the end, and usually the end would start with weak leaders. Sulaiman did many great things for the Ottoman Empire, but the empire was still losing ground. He killed his best son, and his next son ran away, and the one who took the throne was a terrible leader because he was not trained well, and he also at the same time took this pattern of killing the sons or the brothers who would inherit the throne or threaten the sultan. The actions of Sulaiman were copied by later sultans and caused many problems. It became normal for a new sultan to kill all his brothers. He would also keep his sons cut off from education, from the world. So that resulted in weak sultans, uneducated ones. This resulted in a long line of weak sultans who ruined the empire. Despite this, the empire managed to continue to the 20th century with other difficulties, economical difficulties, and other difficulties as well. The empire declined completely. And that's the end of the Ottomans build a vast empire. One more time, in order to be able to study an empire, you need to divide it into 3 parts. The first part is how it started, who's the founder, and how did he do it. The second part is about all the sultans or the leaders who managed to help this empire last for a period of time with their achievements. And then the last part, which is the third part, how it declined and how it got weakened till the end.